Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Lieutenant Colonel Andrea McMahon. We welcome Mr Kerry Stokes, Chairman of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, and Miss Christine Simpson-Stokes. We're honoured to acknowledge crew from HMAS Canberra who are joining us this evening and who will be marching in tomorrow's Anzac Day National Ceremony Parade. We warmly welcome the Titjara elders from Northern Territory who will be participating in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander commemorative ceremony tomorrow. We welcome those joining us from the Legacy Youth Group. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. Could I ask you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem? If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Bruce Richmond. Bruce Stanley Richmond was born on the 23rd of July 1920 in Rockhampton, Queensland, to John and Constance Richmond. Attending Rockhampton High School, the young Bruce Richmond was a keen sportsman who played tennis, cricket, and was involved in swimming. Upon finishing school in 1935, Richmond attended the local Teachers Training College, from which he graduated in 1937. Working for the Queensland Department of Education, Richmond was a teacher at the Mount Emlyn State School near Millmerran in the Darling Downs region of Queensland, when he enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 1st of August 1942. Commencing training as a navigator, Richmond embarked for overseas service in May 1943. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,000 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners, and engineers who throughout the course of the war joined British and Commonwealth squadrons in Britain. Arriving in the United Kingdom in July 1943, Richmond undertook further specialist training before being posted in March 1944 to No. 432 Squadron, Royal Canadian Air Force. As part of Bomber Command, No. 432 Squadron flew the 4-engine Handley Page Halifax Heavy Bomber. On the night of the 22nd of May 1944, Richmond was involved in a raid on the railway yards in Le Mans, France. The raid was part of an operation in support of the imminent Allied invasion of France. The Halifax he was navigating crashed. He and all 6 of his Canadian crewmates were killed. He was 23 years of age. Richmond is buried alongside his crewmates in the Le Mans West British and Commonwealth War Cemetery in Le Mans, France. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among some 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of courage and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Bruce Stanley Richmond, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.